Hello, welcome to our lesson on non-calculator percentages. This is probably a topic you've come across before, but we're going to make sure that we're really strong and confident on this, and our main objectives today are to be able to find basic percentages of amounts without a calculator, find percentages of amounts using 10%, and find any percentage of any amount without a calculator. So let's get started. So we're going to begin with finding the main 4 percentages without a calculator. You've probably seen them before, but if you don't know, make sure you write down the steps for each of these percentages. So we're going to start off with 50%. 50% means half, so we're going to halve each of those values to work them out. So 50% of 60 is half of 60, 30, and 50% of 870 is half of 870, which is 435. If you're struggling to halve it, you can break 870 into 800, then 70, halve them, and then put them together at the end. 25%, probably know that that is halving it twice, or dividing by 4. But I like to halve it again, so I find it a little bit easy to do sometimes. So 200, I'm going to halve it and halve it again. So half of 200 is 100, halve it again is 50. I'm going to do the same for 15. I'm going to halve 15 to get 7.5, and then I'm going to halve 7.5 to give me 3.75. 10% is one that people kind of forget a little bit. 10%, you work it out by dividing the amount by 10. So to find 10% of 60, I'm going to do 60 divided by 10, which is 6. We could take off the 0 there. And to find 10% of 57, I'm going to do 57 divided by 10. And that gives me 5.7. Remember, make it 10 times smaller, so we move our decimal point to the left. Our final one is 1%. 1% you divide by 100. So to work out 1% of 7,500, I'm going to divide by 100, which is 75. So I've taken off 2 zeros there. And 1% of 65 is going to be 0.65. Remember, you're making it 100 times smaller, so you're moving your decimal point 2 spaces left. So I've written the percentages at the top of how to do them. I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at a box you feel comfortable doing. And if you want extra practice, you could do all of them. So pause the video, have a go, and see how you get on. Okay, here are our answers. Hopefully you got them all right. Hopefully they are right on the thing as well. So yeah, mark your work, and let's move on to the next section. So percentage of amounts now using 10%. Now 10% is a really useful percentage to find, okay? And as soon as we get confident in it, it can help us with other percentages, okay? So we're going to think about this. If I told you that 10% of an amount is 16, how could we use that to find different percentages? So how could I work out 20% if I know what 10% is? Well, 20% is double 10%. So I could do 10% times 2. 10 times 2 is 20, so that would work out my 20%. How could I work out 60% using 10%? Well, 60 is 6 lots of 10. So 6 lots of 10%. How could I use 10% to work out 5%? Well, 10% and 5%, they're linked because 5% is half of it. So I'm going to half 10%, or divide it by 2. How could I work out my original amount? Well, if I know that 10% is 16, how can I get from 10% up to 100%? I'd have to times it by 10, which means 16 times 10 is 160. So we can use it in different questions to help us work out an answer. So let's use it to answer some questions. Work out 20% of 80. So the first thing we're going to do is going to work out what 10% is. So 10% is 8, and I've done that by dividing by 10. And if 10% is 8, I can times that by 2, and that will give me 20%. So I've times 10% by 2 to give 20, and I've done 8 times 2 to get 16. And that, in orange, is my final answer. For B, 70% of 500. So first I'm going to work out what 10% is. So to work out 10%, we do 500 divided by 10. So I know that 10% is 50. And to get from 10% to 70%, I'm going to times it by 7, because it's 7 lots of 10%. So we're going to do 50 times 7 to get 350. On C, I first did need to work out 10% to allow me to do 5%. So 10% of 300 is going to be 30. Again, I've divided it by 10. And now I've got 10%, I have to halve this to work out 5%. So I'm going to divide the 10 by 2 and the 30 by 2. So 5% is 15. Let's try another one. How are we going to combine our 10% and our 5%? How are we going to do this question? So 15% is, I'm going to break it down into figuring out what 10% is, which is 4, so divided by 10. 5%, which is half of 10%. And now I can add them together, and that will give me 15%. 10 add 5 is 15, 4 add 2 is 6, and that is my 15% of 40, 6. So have a go at using those methods to work out these questions. You're always going to be using 10% as a starter in all of these. So first step is always to find 10% of your amount, and then you can go forward from there. And there's lots of different ways of doing it. It's not always one way. So if you've got a different way to me and you get the right answer, then that's fantastic. So pause the video and have a go at some questions. So these are your answers for using 10%. Mark your work, see how you got on. Hopefully you did pretty well. So the final thing for today is how we're going to work out more tricky percentages of amounts. So questions like 12%, 21%. And what we're going to do here is, the method is to break it up into chunks that you know. And the chunks that we should be confident on at the moment is 50%, 10, 5 and 1. And if you can't remember how to do those, look back on your notes and it will remind you. So what I'm going to do first of all is think, for question 1, I'm going to work out 12% of 600. I'm going to think, how can I break up 12% into more easy chunks? So I think, for me, the easiest way would be to do a 10%, a 1% and a 1%. That adds up to make 12. So that's what I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out 10% of 600 first, which is going to be 60 divided by 10. And then I'm going to work out 1% of 600 divided by 100, which is 6. Remember, I'm always going back to my original amount here when I work out my percentages. And then I've said 12% is 10% add 1% add 1%. So I'm going to do 60 add 6 add 6, which is 72. And I've worked out my final answer. Let's move on to 21%. Think about how you could break that down. And for me, I'm going to go for 10% add 10% add 1%. That makes 21. So we're going to work out 10% first, which is 100. We're going to work out 1%, which is 10. Remember, to work out 1%, we're dividing 1,000 by 100. And then I'm going to make 21, I'm going to do 100 add 100 add 10, which we should be able to add up without a calculator, 210. Let's have a go at 36% of 80. It's a little bit trickier. Let's have a go. So I think for 36, it'd be easy to do 3 lots of 10% plus a 5% plus a 1. So that'd be 30 add 5 add 1, which makes 36, and that's what I want. So I'm going to work out 10% first of 80, which is 8. And they're going to halve that to give me my 5%, which is 4. And I need to work out 1% of 80 as well. And to work out 1% of 80, I do 80 divided by 100, which is 0.8. Remember, I move it 2 spaces to the left, the decimal place. And now I'm just going to look at what I've done in my yellow box and use the numbers that I've got. So 3 lots of 8 plus 4 plus 0.8. So I know 3 lots of 8 is 8, 16, 24, plus 4 plus 0.8 is 28.8. And the final example is 0.5% of £2,000. Not very nice, but for me, I know if I could work out 1%, how does 0.5 link with 1? Well, it's half of it, isn't it? So we're going to do 1% first. So 1% of 2,000 is 20. And then if I halve that, £20, halve it is £10. So 0.5% is £10. So now's your final task for today. You have a green box, which is work out all the percentages of 340 using your techniques. So you can do that in any order. It might be that some help you work out the others. Then you've got the yellow box, which is just some more trickier percentages of amounts. And then you've got the red box as well, which has got some decimal percentages and kind of which is greater. And you've got percentages with some units there. So remember to put in your answers with units for question 3 and 4 on red. Pause the video, have a go, see how you get on. So here are the answers for your percentage of amounts previous task. Mark your work. Hopefully you got on okay. And that is the end of today's lesson on non-calculator percentages of amounts. Hopefully you found that useful and got lots of work done, and I'll see you next time. Bye.